So yeah, I'm excited today. I got another good buddy that's happened to be in town, and we've got to work on some projects together. And I've been a fan of his for a long time, and I've got to really get to know you a lot better, especially the comedy shows, and just hanging out and hearing more of your story, and just being a good dude all around, and super in theme what this podcast's about. Going rogue with Wes. I like to bring individuals who I consider have gone rogue in a sense of their lives. They live a different life. They do things a different way. They find their own path and trail that they move along without, seems like fear. I'm sure fear's in there, but they just do it. They go, and Paul's one of those. He's got an amazing story. If you don't know who he is, if you watch Shark Week, Paul Gelder is a legend in a lot of different worlds, and he's a hero to me for what he's been through and what he's accomplished and what he continues to do to inspire so many, including myself. And he's got a really cool job too. Dangerous, scary, but freaking cool. So
it's a lot of nice things, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that.
I know we hugged a little bit last night, but these are through verbal.
That's the beers talking. It was man hugs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been an adventure, man. Like, I'll tell you what, it hasn't been boring. I'll give it that. Just my whole life has been this roller coaster ride. And a lot of it is the same as what other people have been through as well. But the shark attack, it's a little bit different.
It's a little different.
And just, what my life is now, I get paid to travel the world, have adventures, and try not to die. That's right up there.
You're a modern day pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the voice and the hook to go with it.
Yeah. The hook comes on when I go diving because this is not waterproof. But it's great. Like, I always say thank God for smart people, because if this was left up to me, I would literally have a hook because that's all I could figure out. But I'm lucky to have this technology, the best robotic hand in the world, the best robotic leg in the world. They're very limited in what they can do technology-wise. Not much has really changed over the last decade. This technology is at least a decade old. Unfortunately, it's the good and bad thing about war. Sadly, soldiers are coming home missing limbs, but technology is always driven by war. So a lot of money went into R&D for prosthetic technology when those soldiers were coming home missing limbs, and it just went up, and it got so good to this. But then the war ended and the funding went away, and now it's just kind of sitting here, and all the R&D money's going into robotics and AI, and the legs just get updated every year or two, like Apple, like minor updates, but nothing special. Like, I was hoping for a freaking RoboCop leg and a Terminator arm, and but
that's what's surprising about it, because technology has advanced so far, and AI, that I would think you would have, like you said, the complete Terminator parts, and like you said, it comes down to money, I think. And after the war, there were the technology there, the money was there too. They were, guys were getting the new stuff, and it's just interesting to think 10 years later you're still using the same technology,
Yeah, but I'm grateful for it, man. Like, without it, life would be so much harder.
You wouldn't be able to choke out so many people.
Crush hands.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong. But it's a $90,000 beer holder, really. And it's good. There's no body heat, so the beer stays colder longer. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I got to get up in the morning and put a leg on now, and hop to the bathroom in the middle of the night and try not to trip over my freaking dogs and kill myself. I swear to God, I've nearly died more times trying to hop into a shower in a hotel than I have any other time, even with diving with sharks, because that shit's slippery. I'm on one leg. I've only got one hand to stabilize myself. The hopping into the showers, especially like the bathtub showers, that shit scares the shit out of me.
All the stuff people don't see.
Yeah.
That scares me myself doing it with two legs. So I could see how that could be, man. It's stuff people don't even think about. When you meet Paul and you see him in action, see what he does. And that's what's cool about, I think, your mindset in general is this dude doesn't complain about anything. It could be a traffic jam. It could be a long line. It could be getting on an airplane. I'm like, dude, does it suck travel? Because he travels a lot, and I don't like being on planes, but he just doesn't bring that stuff up. He's like, things have to get done and they have to be done. And he's we used to say sucks it up and goes and gets it done. So I think there's a trend in that with a lot of guys that do stuff like they just know it needs to be done, man. And especially under your case, having to change out your leg and your arm, like I said, when it gets hot, things get sweaty and other people don't think about that stuff and it gets uncomfortable. And we got to film last year out in the desert, and all the sand and dust and
Dude,
wind.
that was wild.
Yeah. And
the helicopter coming in, just dust storm for freaking 5 hours. But it was so cool. I was so grateful to be there on that shoot. And we finally got to actually meet in person, work with a whole bunch of other people, and get to be a part of something that we really liked. Like I came across Warhorse 1 just randomly, and I started watching it, and I just got totally absorbed in it, and I loved it. It's such a great movie. Like you said, the ending as well, so cool. And to be a part of number 2, and then Johnny, he said he's going to put us in number 3, and we have more lines and more. Like that's so cool to me, man. Like I'm just a small town kid from Australia. We grew up very simple. Dad was a cop, mum was a housewife, 4 kids, and we didn't have a lot of money for anything. Mum made our clothes, all our presents at Christmas and stuff. Everything was secondhand. And to be able to live this life now and be able to move to America and have Discovery Channel taking care of that and giving me work, and then I get to travel and do the speaking, and I don't have that normal job where I have to go to work every day. So that allows me freedom to go and explore other avenues like getting on movie sets and stuff. And that is like, I never expected I could do that. I never expected I'd have the opportunity and people would look at me like, okay, yeah, we want him. Like there's so many options for people, everyone wants to be in film, especially in LA, and to be selected to do that it's mind-blowing. I'm so grateful for everything. And that's kind of why I try not to complain. In my head, I'm like, I bitch about stuff, but then I think about all the other things, My life is already intrinsically pretty hard. Putting on the leg, hopping to the bathroom, that stuff. Just simple things like to walking my dogs 3 times a day, that hurts. It rubbed the prosthetic rub skin off my leg. I can't do certain things. I can't run anymore unless I put on the blade, and then I can only run a couple of Ks, and then that starts to rub the skin off my leg, and I can't walk for a couple of days after that properly. Going to the gym, changing out my arms, changing out the hook attachment, and doing it in front of people as well. But I've learned not to be as self-conscious as I used to be. I used to be really sort of almost embarrassed about how I looked. And I realized that I can't change how I look, but I can change how I feel, because we really only have one power in this life, and that's the power of choice, how we respond to situations that arise. And so you get to make a choice. Am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to be ashamed? I would rather be the guy. I don't want people to look at me when I'm walking around, my head stooped and I'm kind of limping, and they see the prosthetics and they go, oh, that poor guy. Look at him, he has to. I would rather stand tall, practice my walking every single day until I'm perfect at it. Make myself look like I've gone through shit, but I'm proud of it. I'm walking down the street, head held high, and instead of going, oh, that poor guy, they go, fucking hell, look at that cyborg over there. Yeah. That's a better feeling.
I mean, that, and like you said, you have the power. Everybody has the power to do that, and especially like we were talking about with the younger generations of kids coming up there. With bullying and this, that, and the other, they start to feel that those are the things they are if somebody else says it, and it's not. You have the choice to hold yourself high and be an example. Like, we've gone a lot of places, and, at the comedy show, guys are coming up thinking he's like a UFC fighter and like, hey, were you this? And I think they're inspired by, you can be inspiration by the way you carry yourself, regardless of your injury, so that's something that I love to see too, and you do that very well. Your composure, and I think as a man, this toxic masculinity thing and all that. Like, no, you still have the responsibility to be that kind of Roman statue to somebody to look at, a kid to look up at, or somebody else to say, you know what, I need to stop complaining and go better myself. This dude's doing it, and he's got 2 prosthetics, and he looks like a badass, and he's doing badass stuff. So that's inspirational, man, and I think you do that really well.
I feel like the people that try to do that, they try to be inspiring, they try to be motivational. I think it comes off as insincere. I don't want to be like that, and I've never really tried to be an inspiration or anything like that. I just live my life, and I live it as big as I possibly can and enjoy it and be happy. And I think that comes across as more sincere, because I'm not trying to do anything to change the way people think or feel. Or
You're just
anything
trying
like
to
that.
carry yourself the best way you can and do for you.
Yeah,
And then that
express
reflects
the things that I believe in, and those things, they often change. Like, to have a very, very strict down the line mindset and not be flexible to other ideas and other aspects and just stay that straight line, that means you're not growing. And so, as firm as your beliefs might be in certain things, you have to have that flexibility of mindset to go, oh, okay, well, now this has come into my mindset, and that really connects with what I want to be and how I want to feel. And so you got to be willing to veer off the track sometimes and listen to people, even if it's people that you don't potentially like. Like, there's a lot of people out there that they're braggers and they're narcissists, and they're, talking about this, like, they're trying to sell equipment and whatever. But sometimes they do have some good ideas. And so you can separate all the bullshit, but go, oh, actually, that's really great idea. I can identify with that. So I just honestly,
I think
I
you can
try to
learn
be a good
from
dude.
everywhere, everywhere you can learn something from somebody. And if you're not willing to do that, then you stop growing, and everything is it's a circle. It's always going to change. So even like, having that vision to whatever your goal is, you're I call it the lighthouse, but you're at the sea, and the sea is going to change. You're going to be pushed in different directions, and that's going to happen. So you need to be able to adapt to that. And some guys do that very well. Others, they get so comfortable in the way that they're going that something shifts, a storm comes, and they spaz out, they freak out, they don't know how to make that adjustment, man. But maybe that comes with life and wisdom and getting older. Like, you have to be willing to make changes and adjust, because none of us know everything, and you can learn something from everybody, and
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
That's right.
It stayed with me since boot camp, man, always. And that motto helped me so many times. Like, when I went home after 9 weeks in hospital, and I'm like, I want to go back to work. And the first thing I got to do is build my fitness back up. So if they throw a fitness test in front of me, I can smash it. Like, I don't want to pass, I want to smash it. And so I go into the gym.
So like, after your injury, you wanted to continue service.
Yeah. That was the dream. It was really the biggest thing that I had. If I didn't have my job, I don't know who I would be, and I wouldn't have that direction and purpose. And I swore to myself I would never be that person again, because that's who I was when, 18, getting kicked out of home because I was just a bad influence really on my younger siblings. I was never home. I was drinking. I was smoking weed. I was sneaking out the window in the middle of the night to go and break into cars and steal stereos and spotlights and all that shit. And I swore to myself I would never be that directionless person without a purpose again. The military really gave me something special, and I will forever be grateful. People get out of the military and they cuss it out and they hate it. I will always be grateful for being trained how to be a valuable member of society, trained how to be a good man, a carer, someone that looks after others, and being able to serve and wear that uniform and the coveted maroon airborne beret. Yeah, I felt 10 foot tall when I first got that after I passed my parachute course. Like, 10 foot tall and bulletproof, man. I felt amazing.
And it's still with you, you still carry that sense of honor, courage, and commitment. You still applies. And I was the same. I found that a lot with a lot of dudes that were kind of lost kids. They were troublemakers. They were misfits. They didn't feel they had a place, often hated school, stuff like that. Same type of dynamics with a lot of guys. And then, I'm the same way. The Marine Corps gave me, when I was there, I was like, this is the direction I needed. And I can still apply those principles to my life now. And I think a lot of guys, when they get out and they start having issues and like, well, my service is over and now I'm out, and they live in that, you can still continue those traditions that you had then.
Yeah.
Get up, square away your stuff, go work out, put your mind in the right space.
I find it's the same with a lot of SF dudes. I have a very similar story. they got bullied. You know, I was self-harming. I used to slash up my arms out of frustration and anger. And I was heavy into rap. Whenever I was mad at my dad, I would play WC in the Mad Circles, Fuck My Daddy. And whenever I was mad at my mum, I would listen to Body Count, Mum Has Got a Burn Tonight. And I'd like jack it up so they could hear it. I was just such a bad kid. But I think that's a very similar story with a lot of SF dudes. Like, they get into the military, they find their purpose, they find a direction, they're given like responsibility, and they learn that because they've been bullied, they have a sense where they want to stand up for other people, and they just go so far. And so, you know, anyone that's listening that, you know, might be going through that or might have gone through bullying and stuff, you have so much more value than what you probably think of yourself. And some of our greatest warriors in the world went through exactly what you're going through, and are just hugely remarkable people. So never give up on yourself.
Yes, I think that's a lot of, we talked about this earlier, and this can apply to business, uniqueness, living your originality of what you are, like how important that is. You were born here different than everybody else. We all have that thing. And as we get older, we're, you know, programmed into schools, and that's when the bullying, I never felt like I fit in. When I was coming up, like, I didn't fit in with any group. I just always felt an outcast in a way. So I always found myself with groups of dudes that were kind of the same way, you know, as we skated, and you're kind of with that type of crew. But I always knew, like, I want to leave. I want to adventure. I know I'm better than what the school system's telling me. I know I'm better than what these people are saying about me. But when you're a kid, that's hard. And I think it ruins a lot of kids, and they stay in that. But like Paul said, you know, and we talked to some young girls just the other day, you know, like, you
Not
guys
in
are
that
all.
way. It's like,
Where's
his daughter?
I'm talking about my daughter and her friends. All right, let's not.
They were in the car at the same time. Like, we weren't talking to young girls.
Well, young ladies are, you know, family, you know, and we, you know, when I like them to be around these type of men that they see have done extraordinary things and accomplished so many things that when they were a kid, when you probably never thought you'd be, you know, we're driving down here today and Google's calling him like, yeah, we want you to come speak for Google. Like, you know, just all these things that have happened to you when you were that kid, you probably never would have anticipated that.
I dreamed of it though.
It was always inside somewhere.
Yeah. No matter what I was going through, even, you know, through my childhood and then through early adulthood, when I was just trying to survive, just jumping on any life raft that would come by as far as work and friends and shit. You know, I was working behind bars. I was working as a kitchen hand, washing dishes in a restaurant. You know, I ended up getting like jumped by 20 dudes at a party one time, and I left my hometown, moved to Brisbane. My buddy got me a job behind a bar in a strip club, and I became a rapper. You know, just doing anything I could. Like, I loved rap music. I fell in with these American dudes who were doing a radio show and running nightclubs, and I started writing rap. And then 1998 comes around, and we opened for Snoop Dogg, and I'm like, this is it, man. I found my purpose. I'm gonna be a rapper. Yeah, fuck yeah. And then not a lot of money in white rappers in Australia in 1998, so I kind of fell apart. And that was when I was like, I have tried everything. And I just keep failing. Like, I failed at home. I started again. I left home. I've tried this new job. I've failed and failed and failed. And I was looking down the barrel of being like my bar manager. Like, the boss came out and he's like, mate, if you stick around for another year, I'll make you the bar manager. And I was looking at him, and he's sitting at the bar, skinny, pale, smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey. And I was like,
I don't want to be that guy.
Bro, I always knew in my heart there was something bigger for me. Yeah. Like, I grew up watching National Geographic and Discovery Channel and seeing these adventurers on TV. And I didn't do well in school, but I read a lot. Like, I devoured books, and I still to this day. Like, when I was in the army, I was a machine gunner, and I'd have my ammo pouches, my water pouches, and this pouch on my left, always a book. Yeah. You know, because you're doing a lot of hurry up and wait. And the guys are shooting the shit, talking about the girls they scored and playing Uno and shit like that. And I would just be in the quiet corner reading my book. And it took me away from the real world that was so hard, and gave me different perspectives about what people were doing. What is the potential of these people? I'm like, the army was never a career for me. It was always a stepping stone to something else. And even now, I still feel that way. Like, I love what I do. I've been doing Shark Week for like 11 years now, 12 years.
Wow.
I've been speaking for about 16 years, but it's all a stepping stone onto the next thing.
I think it's like with guys of that adventurous spirit, there's so much out there in life to learn and do and explore and adventure. And for us, I don't know, it's hard for me to believe that somebody can be that bar guy that's going to sit there his whole life and that's cool if that's who they are.
Some people love it,
but it's, I'm with you. It's like, there's so much out there and life is cool. The world is cool. I mean, what you do underwater is incredible. It's another world.
And your travels, like every story you start, like when I was here, when I was in Yemen, when I was in Germany, I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. Like you've got to see so much of the world. You lived in Italy and Rome for 6 years. You speak fluent Italian. Like you have really lived an incredible life, and very few people get to experience the things that you have. And when we were talking the other day, and I was like, I'm jealous. Because we never get sent anywhere in the Australian military.
In a good way. No, I think, we come from this, a lot of guys that are, what I say, the rogue dudes are like doing things their own way. Cause I think there's something inside of you that's like, that you had probably since you were a kid, that it's just a fire that you want to go and do as much as you can in this life. And also it could be, it's something you have to battle with too, because then there's the other responsibilities of, family and children and all these other things. It can get tough sometimes to try to balance that, as you know, because you travel so much.
When I was underwater and I was getting eaten by that shark, it wasn't like time slowed down, but our minds, they're such incredible tools. It kind of just went into hyperdrive, and I thought a whole bunch of shit in a microsecond. And I first thought, oh, I'm not going home today. I'm going to die right now. And I asked myself if I was ready to die. And I looked back on my life as that lost teen, the bad stuff I did to people and myself, and then what I did in the army, how I kept growing and then became Navy clearance diver, passing selection and having a job that most of the population could never achieve. I'm like, I've lived 10 lives in these 31 years. If I'm going to die, I know I've lived a full life, I've lived a good life, and I'm happy to go. And I let go, and I was waiting for death. I was just waiting for it to take me and show me what the next adventure is. And then the shark thrashed and ripped out my hamstring and ripped off my hand. And because it wasn't attached to me anymore, it was swimming away. My wetsuit made me buoyant. I popped to the surface, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not dead. I'm like, I got to get out of here. But now that I did survive that, and I shouldn't be alive.
No,
I should be dead.
You probably lost a lot of blood.
Dude,
at that point.
The boat was an inch deep in my blood, and I was in the water swimming back to the boat for a good minute and a half, 2 minutes, with my whole hamstring is ripped out. My hand's gone. I've got an arterial bleed. The guys in the boat said that when they got in close to me, I was swimming through a pool of my own blood. They said it was so thick they could taste it in the air. And so when my buddy pinched closed the artery in my leg with his fingers, the surgeon he said, if you hadn't have done that, Paul would have been dead in 30 seconds because I'd lost so much blood.
Wow.
And so now I want to live a life where when I face death again, I feel exactly the same way. I want to know that I have no regrets. I've tried everything I possibly can. I've been a good dude. I've looked after people, and I've had stories, and it was a life worth living. So
you've definitely lived a life.
Death
dude.
Isn't scary. Let me tell you that. Some people, I guess, will feel a different way, but if you have lived and you have
so
no
you
regrets.
had no regrets at that point.
Yeah, no, because the mistakes we make, they're not, that you don't have to carry them with you. You don't have to always regret the things that you've done if you've used them as a learning tool to help you grow and be better so that you don't make that mistake again. And maybe you've guided others to help them not make that mistake. We're not victims to our circumstances. We're survivors of them. Those bad things that happen to us, no matter what it is, they should be making you more resilient and stronger in your mind. So you go, I survived that. I got through this. I'm still here. You should be proud of the things that you went through. And so
that's what I was going to ask you on that. So, and I watched the documentary on the Oklahoma bombing, and there was a woman that was trapped in there under brick and everything. And she's they're trying to get to her. They can't find her. She's thinking in her mind, she's like, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm going to die. She's accepted it. But she was also talking about how she regretted not doing all these things that she wanted to do because she was afraid to do it. And now she was dying. So the lady survives, and now she's a motivational speaker, and she's done all the things that she's ever wanted to do because she was given that second chance.
Mm.
Like for you, when you survived that, which you should not have, did that also reignite you to say, man, I got another chance to do even more stuff? And does that kind of propelled you into where you are now?
Yeah. Well, the Army forged me into a new person that was stronger. Getting into the Navy clearance divers taught me that the only limitations are the ones that I have in my mind, because the training they put us through and the testing and stuff, like, not many people can get through it. And so that made me believe even more in myself that I can do anything that I want to do if I pour my heart and my soul into it. And then surviving the shark attacks, like, there is nothing off the table now.
Right.
Yeah, and being able to, my impossible dream was to get back to work. I wanted my career back. I just wanted to be in the clearance divers again, because that was what I loved the most in the world. I loved living at Bondi Beach, riding my big black Italian sports bike, pulling up to the base every day, never knowing what the day's going to hold, going diving, playing with bombs, jumping out of aircraft, like all that cool stuff. And so that was the goal, get back to work. And not many people believed in that. But if I didn't have that goal and I didn't have that mindset where it's like, I'm going to do it.
Injury,
after the injury,
saying,
one leg, one hand, freshly out of hospital, lost 15 pounds. You know, my body ate itself trying to keep me alive. So I'm this skinny, pale, big ears sitting in the hospital, and I'm hopping around the nurses' station and like trying to get some exercise, and the nurses are freaking out.
Probably making jokes to the nurses.
Yeah.
Paul's also a comedian, by the way. He's very funny. Yeah.
Not professionally, but when I do my
that's
presentations.
the next one, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I love a laugh. I do incorporate a lot of laughs and tears as well into my presentations. It's an emotional roller coaster. I've had 70 people pass out over the years because I used to show all the surgery photos, because the surgeon was nice enough to give them to me, where you know the what they did to my body to preserve some of my legs so that I could wear a prosthetic on it is remarkable. Like, my surgeon, Dr. Ho, incredible guy, he actually would tour around and talk about what they did to keep me alive and keep my limb. And they basically cut off my foot, filleted open the rest of my leg, like butterflied it, laid it all out flat, and then saw out all the lower part of my femur, my knees, my shin bone. And then they took my calf and folded it into the shark bite where my hamstring used to be and stitched it all up. Wow. And so, yeah, like so now I have a residual limb to put a prosthetic socket on, which is awesome.
And if they weren't that good and weren't able to do that, then you would have lost.
They would have just taken off the rest of my leg, and then I'd be what's called a hip disarticulate amputee. And I know a few guys have that. It's immensely hard. You got to wear belly bands, and your legs got to sit in like a little bowl. And it's just.
I had a guy, Jay Finn, who's out there, great guy too. He's above the hip there, and we'd work out. We'd do stones and deadlifts and stuff, and he'd have to, had the strap and everything.
Those guys are so incredible, man.
I was like, man. So for me, it's like,
and that's why I can't complain.
Well, I mean, my foot was hurt the other day, and I was like, then you get here, I'm like, okay, I gotta shut the fuck up, But
well, if mine breaks, I just send it back to Germany for an exchange.
It's just remarkable to see somebody who could have easily have gone, okay, now my life's over. I'm not that anymore. I'm going to sit in my house. And
to be clear, I thought about all that stuff.
I'm sure. I mean,
laying in a hospital bed for 9 weeks and having only your thoughts to mull on.
So what at that point, I remember you telling me a story that you were like in your house and you were looking out the beach and you were like playing a video game or something. And you were going kind of that depressive state.
Yeah, I do.
And then you're like, and you felt embarrassed to go out or something.
Yeah.
Like what brought you to now you're speaking to Google and to thousands of people and swimming with sharks? Like what, was there a point that hit that you just you became what you are now?
It was when I was in the hospital bed and I had so much time to think, and I knew that slippery slope of depression is a very easy hole to go into, but it's very hard to get out. And I don't think that we are victims to our emotions. I think that we allow them to overtake us, but we don't have to. I see it as almost, it's no different to a physical movement. You have to train it. Like, how do you get bigger biceps? You go and do curls.
Daily habitual habits.
How do you learn a language? You practice it. How do you get better at doing anything? You practice it. And so I believe that we have to practice our mindsets, and we have to focus on the good things in our life. And using, if I feel like complaining, I look back on the people that I've met throughout the years, and you would have the same circumstances as well. The people that live in third world countries that have nothing except their family, maybe their church, and they're happy. And then you come home and everyone's depressed, and
3-car garage,
you got everything you ever wanted, and you're still sad. And I'm like, no, man,
on medications,
no.
And
I'm so lucky. I'm not going to complain. I see it as a choice, and so I just made a choice. I'm not a complicated person. It was a complicated situation, and we often overcomplicate things in our lives. And I just break it down to the simplest option. What do I want?
how am I going to get there?
Do I want a good life, or do I want a bad life? That's that simple. I want a good life. What does that good life look like?
And you have the opportunity, and I know you're from Australia, and we've talked a little bit about economy and labor and taxes and all these things, and living in different places, the benefits, pros and cons. Do you, as a foreigner, whatever that is, being from one country into America, into this nation, do you find, and I'm speaking as American, do you feel proud to be here and be a part of this country? Because I see you as both in Australia, but I see you as an American too. You're very patriotic. He's good to people, but he's a hard worker. Like, the opportunities for you are better here in a sense. Like, I know Australia's a lot smaller, but as somebody like you coming here under your circumstances and being able to accomplish so much, do you feel that America has value there for somebody like yourself? That's, I don't know.
I fucking love America, man. I fucking love it. I grew up watching your movies, your TV shows. My heroes were American, action heroes. And then I got to become an action, not so much a hero, but as a soldier, doing cool stuff. And then I got the opportunity. National Geographic offered me my own show. I'd only done 2 shows for Shark Week, I think. And all of a sudden, this network that I grew up watching, all the adventurers that I ever looked up to, they were offering me my own show. But then Discovery Channel didn't want me to go to their competitor, so they offered a counter deal. And I was like, it sounds
that's
great.
A good problem to have.
It's not, man, because I had to choose, and I knew I was going to piss someone off. Do I upset Discovery Channel, who gave me my opportunities, and do I fall back on loyalty there, or do I go to Nat Geo for this? I get my own show.
Right.
That's amazing. But there was no security there. Right. It was 6 to 8 episodes, 1 year. If it doesn't do well, then that's it. I'm gone. With Discovery Channel, Shark Week's every year, and they were offering me a 2-year contract and with the opportunity to stay on after that. And I was like, I went with my loyalty. I look at myself as very loyal to people that have done good things for me, and I stayed with Discovery Channel. I've been with them for a long time now, and they let me move to America. I slipped it into my contract through my managers. They're like, that is all amazing. Plus, I want a visa to live in America, and they agreed to it. And I bounced back and forth between Australia and America for 2 years. Probably, I did that trip so many times, I can't even tell you. It was 2 weeks here, 3 weeks home, 4 weeks here, 6 weeks there. And I would just bounce back and forth. I was living in Airbnbs. I had a car in Australia, a car in America. All my stuff was in there. I had no home. And I was just trying to put some roots down in America, but I needed to keep going home to Australia to do speaking jobs that I'd agreed to, and also topping up my money, because I would come out here and staying in Airbnbs is expensive. Eating food, a lot of takeout because I didn't have a fridge or anything.
Right.
And so it was really hard to do that, but that was the dream, to be able to live here permanently. And then it got to a point, my mum was looking after my dog for those 2 years, God bless her soul. And she just calls me and she's like, you got to take him. My arthritis is acting up. He's so big. He nearly knocked me over the other day. I'm like, all right, I guess that's it. No more speaking jobs in Australia. I got an apartment and flew my dog out, and I was like, all right, I'm home.
Here I am.
And I love Americans. I love the mindset of Americans. You guys, you have your problems. I know that. You're kind of like a teenage kid trying to find its way with so many mixed emotions that you don't know how to deal with. And I I hate that you're so divided by politics.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for you, because if you all came together, like, you would be able to accomplish such incredible things. And I think about that as the world on a whole as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're all one.
Right.
You know, we're all humans.
And when
And
we
well,
work
you know,
together
some
and
people are subhumans and they just need a fucking bullet in the back of the head.
well, it's like
But I love being in America. You guys uplift the people around you. Australia's a little bit different in that way. Like, people will do that, but there's a lot of negativity. They call it tall poppy syndrome, where, you know, in the old days when the poppy farmers would grow their poppy plants, and one would grow extra quick and they would cut it down. So that's kind of like tall poppy is when people want you to do well.
it's like the
but
crab
not too
theory.
well.
Like the
Don't-
crabs can crawl up the side, but another one pulls one back
Yeah.
and it's trying to get
Yeah,
out.
exactly right.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that
Which is
going
sad
on.
that it's even has to be that way,
Yeah.
you know, but it is what it is.
But my friends were never like that.
You don't hang around people like that. You want to hang around people that are, and this goes out again to like the younger folks that are like, you have to surround yourself with really good people that want to see you succeed. You want to see them succeed, you know, and all the ships will move forward.
Yeah.
And you need to be around those people. It just takes that one bad, even in owning business and having employees, you have one bad seed in there, bad apple, it could spread. So you got to be very cautious with who you let in into your circle and who you're around. I want to be around like you and dudes that uplift me and motivate me. I cannot be around somebody that's not doing things in life that's in line with me, you know. And so when I spend time with you or guys that are doing stuff, you know, I'm like, okay, it makes me want to do more and be more.
Yeah.
And we
Like
even message
seeing your brand, you know, and I'm like, I've always wanted to like design clothes and stuff like that, because sometimes I can't find exactly what I want, and so I'm like, maybe I could create it, and and like,
how can I help you do that? And
Yeah.
I'm like, Paul, hey, I got to do
you're an
this-
ideas man, bro. You're an inspiring
we're all
motivator.
crazy, dude. But it's
you're
like
like,
even-
you could do this, and you could employ your wife and do this. I'm like, yeah, I could. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I know you're capable. You're very smart and you're creative, and you know, and same for you. I'm like, man, you're speaking in front of thousands and thousands of people. Like, that's intimidating to me. Like, even doing these used to be intimidating to me, or the movie. But I find that you grow your most when you step outside your comfort zone, and you're like, oh, that was actually pretty cool. Those people were pretty cool. You know, and
Fear is okay. It's okay to be scared.
Yeah, it's gonna make
like,
you grow.
learn to transfer that fear. It's like when I'm about to jump in the ocean, I got my scuba gear on.
That's scary, dude.
And there's 15 massive tiger sharks down there. There's bull sharks. There's hammerheads. You know, all manner of stuff. Plus, I'm diving, and I get this butterflies in my
You
chest.
still get that.
And
I've got so many.
It's easy to just use that, like identify that as fear. What I do is I've learnt to change that feeling into a sense of excitement, instead of saying, "Oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen." Like, oh my fucking God, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
This is awesome. Let's do it. Like, before you step out that black door of the aircraft with your parachute on and your 150-pound pack on you, you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. No, you just step out and you fall. And that sense of excitement and wonder, like being a kid, man. Like, I think there's nothing better than like seeing a kid being absolutely enthralled with bubbles or a balloon, and I'm like, I want that.
Yeah,
that sense of wonderment for the rest of my life, and that's why.
And you can have that even at any age. You can find some excitement that's thrilling and scares you. That's what makes life cool. That's the juice of life, is like having those experiences, you know, being challenged and not being complacent. And we can all get people get complacent in their system. They're comfortable, but they're not growing. They're just floating through life in a comfortable manner. But
my two greatest fears in life were sharks and public speaking, and now my whole career is a shark diving public speaker. It's
so you've
insane.
turned like your fears into your powers almost. You know, like
we can change our greatest fears into our greatest strengths if we choose. Like you said, like get outside your comfort zone. Go and embrace those things you're afraid of, because most of the time the fear is basically of the unknown.
Yes.
You know? But if you learn about it, we have a motto in Australia on one of our ships, knowledge dispels fear. And so if you learn about it, I started learning about sharks. I started studying them, and I was doing after the shark attack, I didn't never blame the shark, and I got back to work really quickly, and there was a lot of media attention in that, and so whenever there was a shark attack in Australia, the media would contact me for a comment, and so I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be a dummy, I don't want to, I want to give an opinion, but I want it to be an educated opinion, so I started learning all about sharks, and that knowledge started to stop me from being afraid.
You looked at that thing of fear as something you respected and because you understood it more. And we've talked a lot off this stuff off podcasts and whatever, but Paul he loves sharks. He knows all about them. I
have a shark book. He's all about
he
sharks.
saves sharks, like
I try, man. It's hard because people want to go out there and kill them for fun, and it breaks my heart when I see it. And I open my Facebook every day, and the first thing that comes up most of the time, for some reason, the algorithm tries to fuck me, is people fishing sharks. And there's just these dead sharks hanging up, and they've killed them for fun.
So what's the point of a shark fish? Is just to kill the shark for the excitement?
Sometimes they eat them. A lot of the times they throw them in the trash. They do these big shark fishing rodeos all around America, and a lot of the times they just toss them in the fucking dumpster. What is the point? Just because you can't hear them scream doesn't mean they're not suffering. If you did to an animal on land what you did to a shark, you'd go to prison. So why is it so sharks aren't?
So they're
really
intelligent animals. They're intelligent. Yeah. They have feelings.
We have regulars. We have friends in them. They will eat our head if we give them the opportunity. They're wild fucking animals. Yeah. But the special thing about them is they will allow us to share their space. What other wild animal will do that? You can't go up to a grizzly bear and put your hand on its head and give it a scratch. You can't go and hang out with a pack of wolves. Sharks will let you be in their space as long as you respect them.
I've seen the videos you were showing me, you're just there feeding them and they're all around you, and these big scary sharks, all kinds of different ones. And like you said, it looked like you're just all in the one space together, and I don't know, man. It's got to be so thrilling though to be around.
You got to come, man. You got to come.
Yeah, no, that's on my list, man. When you do the Caribbean one again.
Yeah. So
as long as they don't fill up so fast.
Yeah, well, they always do. But I send it out to all my friends first. I give all my friends the opportunity. I got 2 tourist trips coming up in November, and the second trip, 80% of them are people that came on the trip last year because they loved it so much.
Man.
They loved it, and so I know I'm doing a good job. And I teach them about sharks, and they get to see the feeding, and I'll have a massive 13, 14 foot tiger shark called Gaia, and she just comes in like a spaceship. Her head is like this wide.
And she's there every year.
She's there every year, and every year we get scared she's not going to turn up because these sharks migrate. They go over to Florida and stuff, and people are out there killing them and hanging them up, and every year we get scared that our regulars aren't going to come back. Because they're friends, we've built up relationships with them, especially the guys that live in the Bahamas, and they run the trips all the time. They're out there every day. They love these sharks. That's part of their family. And for them to see shark fishing just kills them. And Gaia comes in, biggest hammerhead shark. Well, there's another bigger one, Queen. And I feed them, and I lead them to the tourists, my friends now, my mates, and I put the massive shark over the top of their head, and you can just see their eyes like big as dinner plates. And I'm friends with them all on Instagram now, and they share photos together and stuff on our group chat. And the ability to be able to provide that sense of wonderment, like I was talking about earlier,
you just turn them into a child again.
Yeah,
there's my bubbles, bro.
And we go scuba diving with Caribbean reef sharks. We go on a wreck dive. We do cage diving with the bull sharks along the dock, and it's such a great time. Then we all get together, have dinner, have some margaritas and pina coladas, and 3 days of having fun. And that trip filled up in a week, both of them.
Wow.
So it's really cool.
So you stay, you stay very busy between your own personal life and discovery and these
maintaining
tours
marriage.
And trips and maintaining a marriage and having animals. And
no kids yet, so at least I don't have to worry about that yet. But the missus wants to start trying around December.
You'd be a good dad, dude. I can already tell.
She wants to do it now, but she wants to come on the scuba diving trip more. Apparently you can't dive if you're pregnant, so scuba dive first, baby next.
Yeah, maybe it'll happen during that trip or something. You never know.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But that's kind of the next adventure that I'm scared of. That is the one thing that I'm scared of now is kids, because I think we project our own lives into what we think that will be, and mine was it wasn't my parents' fault, but it was really tough on me. Like to get to the point where I'm slashing up my arms out of frustration and anger, and I'm stealing and I'm fighting and I'm getting blackout drunk on goon bags, which is like boxes of wine and
Goon bags.
Goon bags. Yeah, we used to play this game called Goon of Fortune. It's like Wheel of Fortune.
I'll have to write that one down.
You hang up the wine bags on the Hills Hoist clothesline. Everyone stands around it. You swing it, and whoever ends up in front of you, swing it again.
Goon bags. All right,
just getting trashed, and so
So you don't want to see your own child have to go through those things that you had to go through.
I look up to those people that are raising kids, people like you. Your daughter seems so lovely, Nancy. And my buddy Chris, he raised 5 kids. Only one of them is his biological kid.
Wow.
He's he's a good man. 6'3", 300 pounds.
You were telling me.
He's a former CB out of Coronado. He's my best friend. I love his family
5 kids,
so much.
bro. Like, wow, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, but you did it. And I look up to those good dads that have found a way to balance it and instill a really good sense of common sense and flexibility and all that sort of stuff, and turning these kids into good people, because I think this is the hardest time in the world to be able to do that because of the internet, because of the pressures from social media. Like, we only had to worry about bullies at school in the neighborhood. Now you got to worry about bullies from the whole world, and at any age. Like, men are writing shit comments on teenagers' freaking pages and posts. I'm like, the internet and social media, it can be such a great thing. It really can.
But for a young mind,
I don't know what's wrong with these people
pressure,
that feel a sense that they need to put these negative comments on people. Like, remember this saying, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
There's no point.
That
like,
seems
what are you
common
achieving?
sense to us, but it's like there's somebody they need that satisfaction to like.
My buddy,
do that.
I was talking to my buddy
that.
Josh about that recently. He's a former Raven. He's a good friend of mine from the gym. And he's like, dude, they're just sad. He's like, people are just sad. They're not happy. And so we need to find our happiness.
And for kids, like, especially you said teenagers, it's the highest suicide rate in all time. It's because of social media. Teenagers, because now they're facing people, like say people they don't know. They put something up and then they don't know how to deflect that emotionally, because they're still developing. And somebody says something, like, oh no, or this girl looks so pretty, and this person doesn't know, this kid doesn't know she spent 2 hours getting her face ready and lights and everything else. And here's a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, like, I don't look like this. And they start feeling bad about themselves. And so, no, it's important for us as parents. We have to remind them that and instill that in them so they know. I had a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, perfect family, great family, last thing you would ever think. And his daughter was 14 years old and committed suicide through it was a Facebook bullying thing at school, and they never saw it coming. Like, the family never saw it coming. You would never see it, but they're not emotionally developed enough to say, this thing that I'm going to do is going to permanently end everything. And they don't know how just drastic that is, but they'll do it quickly. I've
lost more friends to suicide than I have the wars they went to.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. No, and I think also, like, everybody, and it doesn't even tell you, things don't get easier as you get older. You know what I mean? Like, they do not get easy. So it's even more imperative as you do to continue feeding yourself with good things and doing your daily practice. Because life, if you look at it, it can be really brutal. Or you can say, you know what, and I'm going to push those sides. There's a lot of beautiful things here. Let me put my thoughts in there, because I can easily look at stuff and, like, you've been around and seen stuff. You can't let that creep in and poison what good there is in life.
Yeah,
because it's easy to do that and, like, fuck everybody, fuck the world. It's all tragedy. It's all, look at these people, what they're doing. It's disgusting.
I find the best thing is just to go back to nature.
Yes.
Get out of your bubble. Go and find a forest and a river somewhere.
Yep. Like you say, go hug a tree. They say, where we go, hate tree huggers. Go feel the tree, man. Put your energy with that. And it is refreshing, man, reviving.
Yep. Get rid of your phone. Leave it at home. My wife just came back from one of those trips, because especially, we live in LA, down by the water. So it's not like shit LA. It's really quite nice. It's lovely people, down by the beach, and I walk the dogs around the marina every day, but it's all paved. there's barely any grass. The most amount of grass we have in that whole area is probably down on the boardwalk, down next to the skate park. And there's no grass. And so we have to get away. My wife just went away on a 3-day trip. She just went out to Palm Springs. She just needed a reset, sent her out there, got a little Airbnb for herself. And
that's a cool spot.
Yeah. Then she went hiking with her mum in Colorado and she came back so much happier.
Yes. I think you have to, we get busy with stuff, but you have to take those moments to go do that and go for a hike. Go down, just be near water. Water is the essence of life, which you're around all the time. But you feel that's why people are drawn to the ocean and rivers. There's a
that's where we're supposed to be.
Sense of life that comes from that, And if you live yourself, that's why the whole thing with they're locking people in their homes and all that. No wonder they got depressed and suicidal and overweight and sick. That's the opposite thing. They need to be out in nature and around that stuff. You feel the sun, everything. You feel better, So
get outside.
It says I've become more hippieist that way. I'm like, those things are pure, man. Those are real. You not think like that when you're up and coming and just like go. But those are recharge moments. I think that are important.
Yeah, we live in a world where it's like there's never been this amount of pressure on human beings ever. There's so much that we absorb, so much information, so much knowledge. Like
in
1 week, we absorb the amount of knowledge that people from the 20s and 30s absorbed in a year.
Yeah.
1 week. And then we're totally overwhelmed.
Mass consumption, man. It's just like,
go back to simple. That's the easiest
thing. And then
when
you're programmed that even through like, to have to know all this stuff. Oh, you don't know that. And you're like, I better know that. You don't know. Oh, I better know that. Like you pick a few things that you really enjoy and learn those really well,
and you don't have to listen to us. Like you don't have to.
No,
like, we might not be right. We might be wrong, but the practice of us doing it has led us to really great lives. So there's an example there that it does actually work. Because like there's a lot of negative people out there that might even be listening to this and going, oh, that's full of shit. That's full of shit.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you know what? I'm happy in here. Even when I'm in a bad mood or something's happened that's, I missed out on, I just had a movie canceled on me. I didn't get this speaking job and I'm starting to feel like maybe I don't have that value that I want.
And then if you let that seep in, it's like a poison and then it continues. And then you reach, that's why you got to do the recharge. Cut it off, man.
No.
They still say
like, all right, I'm going to go and do something that makes me happy. I'm going to go get on my kayak and paddle around in the sun and go visit the sea lions. And, I'm going to go do something that makes me feel good. Like, surround yourself in the things that you love. Like when there's a problem, I once again, I always go back to simple. If there's an issue in your life, there's 3 options. Fix it, put up with it, or get rid of it. It's always try and fix it first. Don't put up with something bad in your life. That's
accepting
the
it. Yeah.
Don't put up with it. Like you got to fix it. But if you genuinely can't fix it, just cut it off. Remove it from your life because it holds no value. It's not going to get you anywhere. And then you're free of that anchor and you can go on to do whatever else it is that you want.
Untethered.
Like, I don't care if it's a relationship or it's work or it's certain friends in your life or, you've
this
drinking
person did
too
me
much
wrong, or this person did that.
Just remove it. And then you never have to worry about it again and you can go on being the person you're supposed to be. Because we are incredible fucking things, human beings. The things that we can achieve, like this stuff, and I couldn't do it.
It's incredible.
But we are quite remarkable, even though we don't feel like we are, even though you're looking at someone else's life on social media and going, they've got the perfect life. I want that life.
Bullshit, yeah.
You can achieve anything you want, but you got to focus on you first. You got to be happy. And then you can share that happiness with other people. And I found the thing that makes me most happy, this greatest senses of fulfillment, is when I go and do something for someone else with no reward for me, whether it's, helping a homeless person, giving them some food like you do, or just anything. You see someone like picking up my phone and calling my buddy and just saying, I love you, man. Like
little things.
Yeah. Just to remind them you're thinking of them and their value, like little things like that. Do things for other people. That is the greatest sense of joy you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
And then you feel good. Your energy is
and then I also believe in
else.
like that energy comes back, not that you're doing
it comes back tenfold, man.
Anytime something happens like that, I'm like, man, something amazing happens, even for myself. Like,
I went down to the river one day and it was like hundreds of cigarette butts. And I'm like, this is disgusting. There's like birds and animals. And so I spent an hour picking up all the cigarette butts, putting them in my dog poop bag, and I threw them away. And 30 minutes later, I got a call and I got a fucking massive job that I'd wanted. Yeah. And I was like, pfft, like I feel like
and
it's
what did that
related.
take you to? That was you just did the right thing. It's like you do the right thing. That's the right thing to do. So many people walk past that, or walk past the homeless guy, or walk past like that's not my problem. I didn't do that. But if you take a few moments, it's not going to hurt me at all to do this little deed, and then something happens in a positive way, like with what you just said.
I think Americans
and if it doesn't, oh well, like oh well, that's the right thing to do.
It is,
and we can do that. I see people like, I want to go to Africa and save people. I want to go save the world, dude. Save yourself. Dude, fix whatever you're, and then start at home. Why do you need to go across the world? There's so much that you can do. We and you could walk out to that parking lot. That dude jumped in the dumpster back there. Hey, bro, what's up, man? You good? Here's some. It's all around us, and you don't need to cross the canal to go save somebody. Fix yourself, and then do little deeds like pick up some garbage or help somebody that their car's tires popped, or whatever. Help them out. Like,
it's hard though. It's hard to stay motivated like that during I think it was during COVID. I had this little marina beach across the street from me that my balcony overlooked. And every day I'd go down there to walk the dogs. And every single day there was trash all on the beach. And people would come in from other suburbs and stuff, these families, and they just trash my beach. And so I would, every day I'd walk my dogs and I'd pick up as much trash as I could hold. But after a couple of weeks, I started getting really mad. And I had to stop doing it because all the trash I'll pick up made me hate people.
Yeah.
Like you don't care. There's no sense of like looking after this environment that is so
selfishness.
Important. We've got dolphins and turtles and seals and stuff like that all through that marina. And you're just
that stuff ends up in there, and it's I don't think they think, I don't know. Yeah. And it upsets you. And then you're like, fuck people.
I had to give up on that.
I hate people.
Leave it to the city council. But I still pick up the trash when I can. And my wife does it a lot. But man, yeah, life is an adventure. You got to put your boots on the ground and just dive in head first sometimes if you want to achieve the life you want. Now I love what I do. I get to travel the world, like do cool stuff, meet amazing people. I got to teach Mike Tyson how to dive with sharks, even though that was pretty scary because he would grab everything that came near him. Like he grabbed a shark by the tail and I'm like, this dude's going to die. We were teaching Will Smith to dive with sharks and Ronda Rousey how to hand feed bull sharks, like parachuting into the ocean for 2 days and 2 nights with no food, no water, surrounded by sharks. Like I'm so happy with the stories that I've created in my life. And I want that for everyone else as well. Like I said, I'm nothing special. I never was a leader. I wasn't good.
You didn't grow up with a bunch of money and opportunities.
No, I just
made it happen.
I was willing to walk through the scary door of opportunity.
And then you find out that it's not that scary.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's not that scary.
Yeah. And now working with Shark Week, I just did a show called How to Survive a Shark Attack, where I had to get attacked by sharks. And I'm like, what is the thinking behind this at the network and production?
And you doing it yourself.
Why are they choosing me? Why do they choose me to get attacked by a shark when I'm the only one that's already been attacked by a shark? Like, do they not think that could create some sort of emotional trauma there? And it does, and I'm fine with it, but they don't know that. I feel like they're trying to kill me every year. They up the stakes every year, whether it was like the parachuting to the ocean or they blew up my boat one time and I did the same thing through the Atlantic, or, I'm hand feeding a tiger. I'm out of the cage surrounded by great whites, wow. That sort of stuff. I'm like, how long am I going to be able to do this without something really bad happening to me? Because I don't know. I know there's some pretty badass shows out there. I don't know if there's anyone that's doing anything that's more dangerous than what me and my friends do. Hand feeding massive sharks and stuff like that. Just diving in itself is
dangerous already.
Hazardous. I was in Australia and I was 20 meters down, so 60 feet, and I was outside the cage, because we were trying to film these bull sharks, but it was so murky you couldn't see very far. And I get out of the cage and I see a flash and there's a bull shark out there, and then my air hose blows and I'm on a full face mask. So as soon as that stops, it's just... So if you had already breathed out, you're not getting any air. And I had to do a free ascent to the surface in super murky water, surrounded by bull sharks, with no air, my air hose going, smacking me in the head. And so it's super dangerous what we do. but I love that. You know, it wouldn't be as fun if it wasn't as dangerous.
Nah, dude.
But I love to share it with people and share my sense of wonderment with sharks and the fact that I get to walk in the footsteps of my heroes, you know, the people I grew up watching, dreaming.
And now you're doing that and more, you know.
And that's where remember I was talking about, I always knew there was something better out there for me. And I dreamed of being like those people. And now I actually get to do it. And I feel like what I do is representative of them because they taught me. And I know there's a lot of negative stuff about Shark Week. They think we're doing stuff and we're not. Like what we do is pretty, like the thing that makes it seem bad, I feel like, is Discovery Channel likes to put all the blood and the gnashing teeth and the scary music and all that.
That's what people want to, they want to see.
You don't watch a TV show where, like, my buddy Andy made this comparison. He's like, you don't watch the NFL to see the linebacker sitting on the sidelines eating a sandwich. You want to see that dude throwing the ball, running down the field, scoring a touchdown, pushing off people. And so that's how we want to show sharks as well. Like, in their prime, what are they doing? You don't want to see a shark just swimming along. You want to see this great white launching out of the water, grabbing onto stuff, the tiger shark swimming around. Yeah. and the scary music does up it a bit, but you know, we do it because we love sharks and we want to tell their story. And we want, you know, Steve Irwin once said, if you can make someone fall in love with something, then they'll want to protect it. And so I want people to fall in love with these animals as much as I have and see how really incredible they are, how special they are to the oceans, and how much we really, truly need them. If you remove sharks from the ocean, the whole system collapses. They're what's known as a keystone species. They're the apex predator. Once you remove that apex predator from the environment, and they did it with wolves, it happened with bears, the animals that they ate don't have a predator. And so they can mass produce, and then they devour everything below them. So you remove the apex predator, you fuck the whole environment.
So love sharks more.
Don't fish them, don't kill them. Go diving with them. You can come with me, see how awesome they are.
Anybody, before we wrap up, how can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
I'm on the Instagram. That's pretty much the only one I really try and connect with, because I don't like social media, but I know I have to do it. And I do want to share stuff on it, good times and some of the bad times and the stuff about sharks. But that's the one I monitor. I've got the Twitter and the Facebooks and all that as well.
You have a website too, right?
I have a website. You can go on that and learn a bunch of stuff.
I heard Google talking about how your website was great, so I got to see it.
They can get on there and contact me through that if they need a speaker for events and things like that. Or they just want to send me a message and say hi.
There you go.
I always try and reply to everyone as much as I can. If I don't, it's not because I'm an asshole. It's just, you know, these messages.
You're a busy man, dude.
I'm traveling a lot.
Busy man. I was grateful to have a couple of days with you. So, but man, great getting to know even some more about you and sharing your message and inspiration to others is what it's all about, and you're doing a great job at it. So
thanks, dude.
Love having you on, man. I appreciate you coming out, dude, and not crushing my hand.
Yeah, it's a good time. Back to LA now.
Right
on to the next thing.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the next the movie premiere, Warhorse 1. Go see that, and then Warhorse 2 when that comes out. And,
yeah, it's gonna be good.
Support this guy. Support everybody doing good stuff, and love life, love each other, and be cool. Yeah, right on.